lounging, son.
Welcome back to another episode of the Comic Lounge Podcast, guys. I am your host, the Way of Dill, your boy, the almighty Dillbot. And with me, as always, Ryan the Five Beasts, the many deaths of Ryan Balcom. And we're here to talk about our three picks. If you already didn't catch the little hints we gave you, yes, we read three of which being Way of X, The Mighty Valkyries, and The Many Deaths of Laila Starr. All great books.
I want to talk about Many Deaths at the end because it was my favorite book this week. So
okay.
Let's talk Mighty Valkyries first, if that's cool with you.
Yeah. Okay.
I liked it. I liked the Jane story, but I was under the assumption that if they were gonna have more than one of the Valkyries, it was gonna be like together.
Brunhilde? Yeah. I thought we could get some Brunhilde.
Right, so that kind of threw me off a little bit, but, we'll read the credits. Jason Aaron, he's credited, but he even said in his newsletter that it's mostly Torn Grombeck. I don't know. I don't want to say it wrong. I'll ask her when I interview her. She's doing a lot of the heavy lifting, he said. Mattia de...
Ulyss,
okay. And then, that sounds right. And then, also, the new Valkyrie story is all Torn Grombeck, Erica D'Urso, and Marcio Menez as a colorist on that. Joe Sabino lettered everything. And like I said, I don't think the backup story was... I didn't like it. It just was very abrupt. I just didn't know it was two stories. I didn't pay... I'll be honest. I always flip past the credit page because I know who the fuck is working on the book. So yeah. I didn't notice it was two stories. But the Jane story, I love Jane. I love the aspect of her working like in a morgue's office. I think that aspect of her career is interesting because of her being a Valkyrie and like leading people to the afterlife after they've died. So that's one of my favorite things. I think that's fucking one of the coolest things that she's actually doing it, right? Yeah.
Like, and her perspective as essentially a mortal woman doing that, right? Because essentially, I mean, aside from like the deaths, like when the Valkyries vanished and died and all died off, like essentially they were some of the greatest warriors, and they pretty much lived forever, right? So seeing it through the eyes of a woman who literally was at death's door, it gives like a new perspective, a new appreciation for crossing over, right?
Right.
Which is really cool. Mattia de Ulyss.
Yeah.
His
I
art.
wish I knew how to say it. I know, I love his art.
It looks like movie stills. Like,
It's crazy. It reminded me a little bit of, maybe this is stretching it, but Asad Ribic and Kafu mixed.
Yeah.
Was kind of the vibe I got. Which is interesting considering that they both, like Kafu did the last series and then Asad Ribic did Thor. So
I thought, as far as the art goes, I thought they couldn't top it. Like, it was going to be hard to follow up Kafu because Kafu did a phenomenal job too. Carlos Urbano is, well, first off, he's like one of the nicest people online. Like, he's like one of the nicest people online, and his art is absolutely phenomenal. I didn't know, like, when they finally announced that this book was coming out and they showed stills of it, it was one picture in particular. It was the panel with...
I love that you call it stills like it's a film.
Yeah.
It does. It's very cinematic in the way it's presented, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and like there's one particular panel where Hela is just making this like this fucking stank face. Well, she's just like... And I'm like, damn, that's fucking good. That is some good shit right there. And like that's what got me hyped for this book. But all in all, like this book was the Jane story was off the chart. I love the whole conversation in the bar. I didn't know it was gonna be Loki.
I'm trying to remember like my reading, like what I felt when I was reading it, and I kind of had an inkling it was Loki, but then I wasn't 100% sure. But just like his behavior, and that I think was kind of a testament to the writing. It was like that they got that douchebaggery of Loki in that other guy. So like that's why my mind went there. But I'm like, is it though? Like, so I still wasn't sure, but it felt like Loki. And then once the reveal happened, I'm like, oh, well,
of course,
that was obvious.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. course, it's Loki. And then you got the offspring of Fenris Wolf, which I thought was great.
Yeah, I mean, I just love Jane so much. So I was upset that the last book ended. I'm upset that this is only 5 issues. I know that's not a good thing to say, that I'm upset after I read a book, but it just reminds me that I'm not going to have very long with her, because she should have it ongoing. I know Valkyrie probably didn't sell as well as it could have, and that's probably why it didn't. But I mean, they did the time.
Also, like in the middle of her second arc, that's when the pandemic hit. So it's like,
yeah,
you know, I feel like that kind of hindered her momentum anyway. I love her. I love Jane Foster. Jane Foster, her character since Jason Aaron, as you know, as like reimagined her, right? I feel like she doesn't get the credit that she deserves. But the thing is, it's like, you know, she has a movie coming out, so
she should have a series. I'll be honest. I'll tell you this much. First of all, if you're not anybody listening or watching, you too, Dylan, if you're not subscribed to Jason Aaron's newsletter.
Oh, I am.
Okay, did you saw that? First of all, he shouted out our interview in there, which was dope, that I did with him last newsletter. But this one, he like really dove deep into like Jane Foster and how that was some of the most fun he's had in comics, was writing her. It's not to sound mean, but I didn't really care about Jane Foster before.
Right.
And now I fucking love her character. So when they announced that she was gonna, like, they were gonna adapt that storyline, or well, however they're gonna do it in the movies, obviously maybe it won't be the same. Fuck, dude, like that's so dope. Like she is such a great character, and like over the last, I guess it's like 8 years now, right? If we're including, because he had a 7-year run, so maybe almost 9 years.
9 years, yeah, 9
right?
years, dude.
With this character and what he's done and transformed her and made her so interesting of a character that like she can carry her own book. And I just really love. I really loved the main story. I guess it's the backstory because like I don't have like an affinity for that character, like Tessa Thompson's version of Valkyrie. I do like the character of the movie, but in the comic books I haven't read much. I didn't read The King of Black Time, which I probably should have read. I actually have the 4 issues here. I just didn't have time to read them this week. But, you know, I'm excited.
That was honestly the only tie-in that I was, like, really interested in, to be honest. Maybe, like, Planet of the Symbiotes. But, like, aside from that, like, non-symbiote-related, like, tie-ins, like, that was by far my favorite.
I think, you know what, like, I don't really have, like, any, like, much more that in terms of my thoughts on the book, because, like, I would say it was, like, it was closer to an 8 for me in terms of the book overall. You know, like the story, like I don't know if the backstory, I didn't necessarily hurt the book, but I kind of wish at this point I would have just got all Jane. You know, unless the other Valkyries were going to be with Jane. You know, like I didn't want to just like leave Jane behind and then go read another story.
I hope that, like, you know, at some point the paths cross, right? And we get Runa, we get Jane, we get Brunhilde, we get all the Valkyries, right? Because, like, it's the mighty Valkyries. It's literally plural. And the simple fact that they're here, that they're back, that the Valkyries are, like, exist again, that's big for, like, the world of Asgard, right? That's really big. Because, you know, I mean, Valkyries, Valhalla, all that plays into the whole mythos of everything. And I hope that at some point there's a cross section where they all meet. And then not only that, like, I want to see more of Matilda de Eulis, like, just fucking make epic scenes with everything, you know, because, you know, when you think Valkyrie in your head, I think, like, you know, the freaking Valkyries painted on the side of vans, like back in like the 70s and the 80s. Like, I want to see epic shit like that, right?
Yeah.
Like, but like, I hope that we get hit a cross section, and more Hela too. I want to see more Hela. Like, I want to see what's going on with the babies and all that stuff.
Yeah, dude, I'm interested, and it's, you know, Torrin, if you're listening, let's see a variant cover, dude, because she's a fucking amazing artist.
Yeah,
if you follow her, like,
yeah,
dude, her fucking like acrylic paintings and her oil, like all that stuff is really dope. So, yeah, I recommend this stuff. If you're a fan of Thor, you're a fan of the Valkyries book, the last one, or
Jane Foster,
or Jane Foster in general, definitely pick this book up. It was definitely it was a fun read, definitely, and I'm looking forward to the next issue for sure. Another book that I felt I was kind of like an 8 with this as well. I love Nightcrawler. The idea behind it of him forming a religion for mutants was the aspect where I'm like, okay, even though like I didn't really feel like seeing the 22nd X book launch since they've done this. You know, I'm being facetious when I say that, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I mean, they're announcing more, and it's like, please, I want to read other stuff. You know, like I don't want to just read a line of X-Men books. And there's people that
you're not excited for
X
X-Corp, dude. It's all in the biz.
I don't know.
I'm gonna do it. You know, I like Teenie Howard. You know, and then,
I know. I love
Teenie. Like I said, I told you, I just recently finished friggin' X of Swords, and I finally get to catch up. So you could stop screaming at me about reading Sword. And
yeah, I mean, it sucks. I couldn't read it. We were short our copies this week, so I didn't even get to read the new issue of Sword. But
it was a lot of short.
You did too. Way of Exos, Ice Sprayer, Bob Quinn, Tartaglia is the colorist, right?
Yeah.
You know, we're doing a signature series at the shop for Way of X. So like,
oh, nice.
Yeah, so like Bob Quinn's, you know, really nice dude, local guy. I like the art a lot. I like Ice Sprayer. I think he's doing a lot of solid stuff lately. His Hellblazer was pretty cool, even though they fucking cut him short on that. So like, you know, the basic concept intrigued me. And much like Nick pointed out, I also had a problem with, you know, like they make this whole thing of, you know, the resurrection protocol. And like you have to go through the proper channels, like there's a line, you know what I mean? Like, and Pixie, just like the way she like kind of got herself taken out, right? Because she's like scared about dying, but like then she just runs up, boom, shotgun to the face. And then
right in the face.
And then she gets pushed to the front. She's like resurrected almost immediately. So that kind of goes against the whole. You have to wait. It's not like you die and you're resurrected instantly. Like that's why people can't just assume like, oh, if I die, I'm coming right back. Like no, that's not how it works. So that was a little bit something I didn't like. I do like Nightcrawler's characterization was pretty spot on for me. I like the way he, you know, contemplating, you know, the religion. Magneto kind of calls him out on it, telling him like, oh, why don't you, you know, about starting it, and he's not sure. And like that's always been something. Like that's why who else are you gonna have start a religion? Nightcrawler. Yeah. He's the most religious character.
Yeah. Oh man, I love Kurt. I've always loved Kurt. Like
he's one of my favorite mutants.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
I think he's like right up there with like Cyclops for me and Wolverine. You know, like and Magneto. I gotta put Magneto there.
I have a rotating like top 10 mutants, and regardless of that rotating 10, like Nightcrawler is always in the top 10.
Oh, same for sure.
And the relation and Nightcrawler's relationship with not just Wolverine, which is I think one of the best friend relationships ever, but I also think that his relationship to multiple other members of the X-Men is just phenomenal.
I like his relationship with Kitty Pryde. Kate Pryde, I guess is how you call her now. But that's like one of my favorite relationships in like Marvel in general, right?
Yeah.
But you know, like throughout this issue, like there's a lot of different things that are happening that I thought were interesting, like, you know, like the Crucible and stuff, and like having to like basically die to prove your worthiness. Like it kind of shows a more violent approach to mutant society. You know what I mean? Like,
you have to earn it. You know what I mean? You have to earn it back. You have to earn your powers back.
There be a little bit less of a violent way, because like, how are you really earning it? You're allowing yourself to be killed. I mean, what if you win the fight? What if for some reason the person that you choose to go up against the Crucible, you win? Like,
okay, but look, everyone we've only seen maybe 2 Crucibles, right? We saw that one with Apocalypse in the beginning of Dawn of X, and then I mean, I don't know because like I haven't read anything past X of Swords, but this is like the first comic I've read post X of Swords. And then we see the Lost. We see Lost. That's I'm assuming that's what we're calling her. We see Lost go up against Magneto. So they're really pitting the people who go into the Crucible against freaking Omega level mutants. So it's not really like a fair fight.
Yes, you really have a fucking chance in hell.
Yeah, you have really no chance in hell at this point. It's like literally Dylan going up against Magneto. Like
Yeah.
I'm not. What am I gonna do? Throw a rock at you? Like you know what I mean? And what's crazy about this is it's like when it happens, when all the when the two crucibles that we did witness, there's this crazy bloodlust with it, right? And you don't know whether they're happy that someone just got killed or happy that they know that someone just got killed, knowing they're going to be resurrected better. Like it's crazy because it like Kurt being the man of religion, it's like life is finite, and what happens when life is no longer finite, especially with someone like Kurt, because Kurt was dead for like the longest time.
Yeah, he was in the afterlife.
Yeah, he was in the afterlife. Like
so.
I mean, let's not forget what him and Scott still need to talk. Like,
No.
like, but like, and like, what I was raised Catholic, right? And and like, and then later on Muslim, but it's crazy, just the idea of something like Krakoa existing, right? Where they literally beat mortality. Where they can come back, and they can, and like they talk about Wanda, the Great Pretender, right? How she took away the powers of over 1 million mutants, right? Like they talk about the Crucible and how you have to earn your powers back. But I'm like, bro, they didn't do anything to lose their powers in the first place. Like, why can't they just bring them back, or or something like that? It's crazy to me.
There's a lot of interesting concepts in the entire X line. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, where do they go when they're dying? The in between.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like sleep.
Yeah, sleep? and like souls, and like they haven't really touched upon that. So I'm hoping that that's something we'll see more of. Like, where does their soul go? Like, is there a soul at this point if they're resurrected multiple times? How? I mean, you're putting their imprint of their personality and stuff within these technically clones. I mean, there's just a lot of interesting things that I think they haven't touched upon, and I hope that stuff is explored in this book. This book doesn't feel like it would be a very long series. This, to me, feels like maybe a 6-issue series, 12 issues max. And that's not to say that, like, in any bad way, that I think that this book doesn't have merits to go longer. It's just like the concept seems like it'll be short, much like Fallen Angels was. I feel like Cable was 12 issues. Or will be 12 issues when it's done. So, and I'm fine with that. It does. I mean, I don't want to see fucking 20 ongoing series that each reach issue 50. I want to see that more.
They can even take breaks too, kind of like how New Mutants did. But yeah, religion on Krakoa is going to be something interesting because there has to be belief in something greater than self, right? But when in reference to mutants, like, what is greater than a mutant, right? Because they're doing things that no human ever thought possible.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you give a belief system in something that is already pretty much laid out for you and explained, whereas faith is faith. Faith is a belief in the unknown. Faith is a belief in something not tangible. But, on Krakoa, like, faith and religion has to do with that. There's a payoff at the end, right? There's a payoff at the end when all is said and done. On your dying days, you can hope to look back on your life and reflect and know that it was a good life. But like with everybody, essentially, I don't know if they're aging people on Krakoa, like if people are getting older, like if that's a part of the thing. But like, let's say a mutant gets cancer or something because cancer doesn't give a fuck, right? Like, are they just gonna let him die and then bring him back without the cancer, or is there a choice? Is what I'm saying. Like,
I feel like that's something that they'll explore. Like, what if somebody doesn't want to be brought back?
Yeah, death is crazy. Hey, you know what else is crazy? Many deaths.
This is by far the best book that came out this week. That I read, at least. I mean, I'm not trying to say that not trying to say even the last 2 books that we read weren't good, but this one just really stood out from that amazing cover with those warm colors that just like they're so inviting. You know what I mean? Like to pick the book up, and then Laila Starr And it's talking about, like, much like a lot of Rom V stuff, he sets it in Mumbai, right? And he's talking about, like, the Indian gods.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Something we don't
Fucking
see.
love it. No.
And that's what I love about it, because it's not something that you normally see. It's not a regular thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Norse gods, people talk about, right? All the time. Thor, Odin, all that shit. The Greek gods, people always talk about. So, to see this aspect, and, like, I didn't read the synopsis either.
Same.
About the book. I wanted to pick it up because I'm like, the many deaths of Laila Starr. What is this going to be about? It's Rom V, Philippe Andrade, on art, which this art was out of this world, bro. I fucking absolutely love this. And then the color, I mean, he colored also, but then the color assist by Ines Amaro. But overall, like, everything about it, the concept of, she's death, right? Like, she's the goddess of death in
the goddess Kali.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
like, she's got, like, the multiple arms. She's just, like, wearing this, like, fucking suit as she's, like, walking down the hall. When you, like, realize where you are, you're in heaven, and or the afterlife, or however you want to perceive it. And she is now being demoted because of a child being born that is going to, this is where it's so dope, is going to crack immortality and make it so that people can't die, thus putting her out of a job. That's fucking.
I love
brilliant.
I love how they essentially made heaven a corporate entity, right?
Yeah.
Like, even the goddess of all goodness is like, well, you know how corporate doesn't like that. Like, like it's very I love this. I love this concept. Right? Like, mythology has always been interesting to me. Like, especially how it was depicted in this, because it's like a modernization of mythology, right? It's like like, you know, they like, not even mythology, but of religion. I'm sorry, because this is someone's religion. It's like it's a portrayal of religion evolving with the times, whereas, like, you know, a lot of religion is just set in its ways, and that's it. Whereas this, it's kind of like with how Rom V put it as, like, how are we going to execute this and make it work and make it work, essentially. And I love it. I love how it's literally a job.
Yeah.
It's Kali's job it's Death's job to be Death, right? And I love
it's like, what else is she going to do?
Yeah, what else is she going to do now?
Yeah.
And then, you know, the basic premise is, like, you know, she got demoted, now she has to be immortal. She gets to choose the body. And she chooses the body of someone who may have committed suicide or may have accidentally died. We don't know. We'll see. Yeah, it's such a wild concept, dude. Like, you know, like, and what's she gonna do? She's gonna try to kill the kid.
I know. I mean, that's kind of like that's pretty crazy, dude. Like, we got this, like, ghost that's, like, following her around too, Mun, and like, that looks like a little girl, and kind of like almost, I would say, like, the conscience of death now, right? Like, just constantly following, like, well, you're really gonna kill.
You shouldn't be doing it. It's a baby.
Yeah. So, and what's
hard to kill a baby?
And it was hard, right? Like, she finds the baby, but then she can't do it. Like, there's something inside her that, like, I don't know if I could kill a baby. And then it's
crazy.
Yeah. And then she proceeds to die over and over again. Everybody knows about her. The girl that keeps dying and keeps coming back. So I hope that aspect gets explored of, like, what does the world think of this girl that keeps dying but keeps coming back to life? So that'll be cool. And then, like, you know, obviously, like, she meets up with another god who the god of life, and it's like, well, not a kid anymore. Well, now the kid's what, 8? It's 8 years later. So, like, was the kid 9? Yeah. I mean, are you still gonna kill a 9-year-old? I don't know.
I mean, he hasn't cracked the code yet. But if you want to kill a 9-year-old, here's your chance.
I guess she only died twice. I thought she died more.
No, it was twice. It was
okay.
It was the girl originally pre-death,
right?
And then when death takes over, dies again.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
but she still came back, and people realized, because it does mention that. So I thought she died more than once. I must have missed the fact that it was only twice. But, you know, the art is breathtaking. The coloring is amazing. This book is just, I mean, I can't say it enough, dude. Rom V is like, he's getting there, dude. It's like, I'm just gonna read everything that you put out.
I'm
I'm not
reading
gonna miss a
Paradiso
book.
right now.
I saw that. I saw that you started. I
Yeah.
want to read These Savage Shores, which was published through Vault. And then I told you like that noir book that he did. I think it was through a British publisher. You can't get it through Diamond, so like you have to order from the site. I'll shoot you the link, or if I buy it, I'll just let you borrow it. Probably
It's like Avery Press Publishing or something.
It's not Avery. It's something I had never heard of it before, but you know, like I want to check that out as well. And I think that this idea feels completely fresh to me. I can't think of a story like this. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Have you?
I'm just like looking forward to like the attempts, the attempts to murder the child.
But doesn't this feel like a completely brand new story?
Yeah, it does.
A concept. It doesn't feel like anything I've read before. Like I think I talked about it with Jen when we recorded Little Bird, right? Like
yeah.
Kind of there's like some themes in there that like we've seen before, right? But it still felt fresh and it still felt like unique in terms of what the story we got. But this, like I don't think I've seen this story before. I don't think I've seen death being demoted to Earth and then like trying to kill the person that came up with immortality. Like this is such a great concept. I mean, Rom V's writing is like to me. I said a 10. This is a 10 for me. This book I felt was pretty fucking flawless and another hit for Boom Studios. You know.
Yeah. I would agree. I'll give it a 10. I want to see where this goes. This is a limited series, right? So I'm assuming probably 6 or so.
It's 5 issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's I strongly suggest for people to go pick it up. Whether you want to read a new concept over the idea of life and death, or if you want breathtaking art, or if you're a Rom V fan. Like it's starting to become a thing. Rom V fans are a thing, and I love it. I can't stress enough how he's quickly becoming one of my favorite writers.
Yeah, dude. I think I'm subbed to 3 books right now. 4, I guess, if you include his backup, Justice League. Like, and I'm just waiting for that other one, Radio Apocalypse, that got pushed back all the way to November, which I'm pretty fucking upset about. But I'll be here for that too. And I haven't read These Savage Shores, and I haven't read Paradiso, so I got some other stuff to check out by him. I think it's this like
Paradiso. I'm like maybe 2 chapters in. It was a little rough, like for me to get like grasp concepts because it kind of throws you in the middle of shit. But by the time you get to the second chapter or second issue or whatever, it takes its stride, and I'm really enjoying it.
He has like an elegance to his writing. I don't know if that's the proper way to say it.
No.
But like he definitely has like, I don't want people to fucking shoot me for saying this, but Alan Moore vibes. Like the way Alan Moore would write a little bit. Like the way like he will dumb stuff down. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm thinking
very
of his Swamp Thing.
Start.
When I'm saying his Swamp Thing, Alan Moore, I'm saying his Swamp Thing stuff in terms of like the way he's like telling the reader like what's going on, the dialogue, like all that feels like he's definitely pulling from I'll just say Vertigo. How about that? It definitely has like Vertigo vibes, the type of writing that he does, and it feels like this book could have been a Vertigo book easily. Mm-hmm. This could sit right up there with like Day Tripper to me.
Yeah.
I just, dude, in the art, like I want to see more from Philippe Andre, dude. Like I love this art so much. Like this was, I don't know. I was smiling, dude. Like I don't smile often when I'm reading a comic book, but I found myself like just really, really enjoying the shit out of this book. And, you know, like anybody listening or watching right now, like I think it's clear how much I love Ron V. Like same with Dylan. Like we have talked a lot about him. We did Blue and Green. I did a breakdown of Graffiti's Wall and why I think people should check it out. And we talked about his Swamp Thing. We're talking about like this now. I think it's clear, dude, that like he is one of the best up and coming writers, even though he's not a new writer. He's just, I think he's getting more prominence in terms of like people knowing who he is. And so far, this is my favorite of his work. And I know it's only 1 issue, but I really loved everything about it. So
that's it for 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
You want to talk about next week?
I mean, you want to give a special shout out to James Stokoe's fucking Orphan and the Five Beasts and how absolutely insane.
This is the most outrageous comic. This is the most outrageous comic I've ever read, and I love it with all my heart. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Thunder Thighs. This motherfucker.
This is
his story. Learning his backstory. Like, I thought he was crazy in the last one when he crushed that fucking horse with his Thunder Thighs. Then you learn how he became Thunder Thighs. Dude, first of all,
then the thing is, when you straight out of Dragon Ball Z, this isn't even my final form.
Yeah. When he gets, hold on, I don't care. He gets fucking chopped in half. He ain't done. He's not done, homie. He's still coming back for you. I won't say how it happens, but dude, first of all, I forgot to say, I was smiling when I was reading this book because this book is just pure joy. I mean, like, it's violence, it's humor, it's everything that I love about comic books. And James Stokoe, also another artist that like I kind of slept on. I didn't know about his stuff, but he's another one that like be on the lookout for everything he does.
Yeah,
this book is
fantastic,
so fun.
I love it with all my heart. Like,
yeah, it's amazing.
It's just it's so outrageous, dude. But like good outrageous, not like Mad Magazine outrageous. But I'm talking about like the art is phenomenal, the story is phenomenal, the characters are absolutely memorable. But like the way everything is utilized, this feels like 5 Deadly Venoms on steroids.
Okay.
Like, it feels like my favorite kung fu movie, but on hyper detailed steroids. And the fight scenes are crazy.
Oh, they are. And don't let the fact that there's a character named Thunder Thighs turn you off, because I can understand why some people might be like, that's ridiculous. Why am I going to read that? Trust in us, because this book is so dope.
It's so good.
That's that. I mean, there's a lot of other good stuff, but like those for sure 4 standouts to me this week. But yeah, let's talk next week. I'm looking at the list right now. I'll let you know.
Robin number 1.
Oh, Robin number 1's next week? I don't see the DC stuff. So we'll do Robin. We'll do Deadly Class 45. Are you caught up?
Am I caught?
Because I definitely want to talk Deadly Class. The return of Deadly Class is something.
You said 45?
Yeah.
I got some reading to do, bro.
Oh, goddamn.
I got some reading to do.
Okay, so we'll do Deadly Class 45. We'll do Robin number 1.
Want to do ENIAC?
No.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about Bad Idea. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I don't like their little cha-cha they do in the fucking comic book industry.
Little cha-cha.
Little cha-cha. Do you want to do X-Men? Do you want to do X-Men Legends 3?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's Luis and Walt Simonson returning to their X Factor run with like the old school like Cyclops, the old school team. So I think that'd be kind of cool. All right. So
that's the only X Factor I recognize, by the way. I mean, Havoc's cool, Polaris is cool. Not too much of a Strong Guy fan, but but yeah, let's do it. Let's do X-Men.
Okay, so we're gonna do X-Men Legends 3, Robin number 1, and Deadly Class 45, and then we'll touch on whatever the fuck. I guess
I have to read 13 issues. Well, 14 issues.
Oh, you'll do it.
Or 12 issues, because I'm on 32. So if it's 45, that means I got to read 12 issues.
Yeah, that's not a bad problem to have.
That's not a bad problem to have. Also, because I love Rick Remender. Fucking love that guy.
Same.
And these things.
All right, cool. Well, that's all I got. Those are the books that we loved this week. We told you what books we're reading next week. And, well, if you're not already following us, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Comic Lounge. You can follow Dylan at The Dillbot on Instagram. Make sure you throw your comments or suggestions down below, or you can also email us, thecomicloungepod@gmail.com, and make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and hit the bell icon so you're notified every time a new vid goes up. And on that note, we're out.
Later, buds.